tell your daughter, man. I do believe in your daughter. Like, her dad's supposed to be her first crush, not in any, funny way or nothing. But she's supposed to understand this is what an example of a man is like. So you have to look for. So with that, it's you as a father has to be responsible and set the example. You can't be out here in these streets doing whatever. She has to understand this is what it's supposed to be like. Somebody who has moral character, somebody who has a good work ethic, right? Somebody who is that dude. That's what they should be looking for. And you have to let your daughter know what her worth is. She has to understand her value. So if you can get her to understand her value, then you can absolutely, again, mitigate the risk. There's no such thing as elimination, but it's a whole lot that you can do to try to avoid it.
Welcome back to Monday Marriage and Media. Today we are looking at Lapeef Network. A bunch of gentlemen on the panel, so I'm assuming this is King Talk. May or may not be, but it's still a safe assumption. The title is How Do I Protect My Daughter from Someone Like You? Now, I think this is an interesting title because a lot of relationship content out there that's put forth by male creators from the male perspective. It has some interesting talking points, but a lot of them start to fall apart when you're talking about the fact that you want to have kids. So here we are. We're talking about kids. How do I protect my daughter from a guy like you? I think it's very interesting, and I think it's worth taking a look. So let's go ahead and get it going.
My daughter from someone like you. How do I protect my daughter from someone like you? Let me go ahead and play this clip.
And whore I think I had ever met in the military. One day I went up to him and I said, how do I protect my little girl from someone like you? And he said, tell her that you love her, because if you don't, someone who doesn't will, she'll believe him. You need to understand something
Makes
about
sense.
the way men interpret love sometimes. We look at the 50, 60, 70 hours a week we're putting in to provide, to work, protect as a demonstration of our love. And I think it is. I think it is a valid demonstration of our love. But the problem is that when you have a little girl, if you're not telling her that you love her, she might miss that.
That's a true statement.
So go ahead and dive into it. How do I protect my daughter from someone like you? You want to kick it off, Shan?
I don't know if I can. Like the way his question is if he's asking somebody else, but the way it presents here is as if I'm asking about me. Like I wouldn't. I think I've been a great guy all my life. I wouldn't want to protect any. In fact, I'm the model. I'm the perfect kind of guy that motherfucker would want to had his daughter be with my entire adult life. So it's better. Let's move on to somebody like Humble Dad. It's better because Humble Dad was a whole in college, so I think he'll be able to answer that question a lot better.
Oh man,
Is this because I wasn't here last?
the bus just went right over Humble Dad. Man, ooh, he threw him under there real quick.
Week? Like, what you mean?
Hey man, humble dad just stopped being a hoe just recently when he got married.
That's okay. Y'all miss me. I got it. Okay. Yeah. I thought I interpreted the question the same way. I think every guy needs to be like me. Personally. In my humble opinion. But the former me for sure. Um, Man, what could you do to protect your daughter from someone like me? You better have as much time with her as you could possibly have. You know what I'm saying? Because the way that I operated was, um, I was a dude that was cool with being your friend. You know what I'm saying? And if it needed to happen, it could happen. That's who I was. I wasn't having to be forceful with her, and I dealt with several women that had fathers in their house, and active fathers in their house. You know what I'm saying? So to keep your daughter from a guy like Humble Dad when he was in college, you would have had to make sure that you was very very active in her life and let her know that there's nobody that's going to be greater than him besides their husband. That's just what it was. Dang, Shannon, you made me come out, boy.
Yeah, so I understood it was that he was asking, I guess the guy who was on the base was the biggest whore. He was asking, how can I protect
you can't there's nothing you can do because she like me, dog. She like me, right? She like me. I don't know why y'all look. We need to get out of this fallacy, right? She has a dad. No, it doesn't matter, bro. Women, shout out to my boy Trio. Women break the rules for the men they like. If she like you enough, she
Yeah, but that has some problems. Mainly, the biggest one is that okay, but why does she like you? Because again, if you're we have to preference this by saying that we're not raising soldiers in the gender war, because if we are, then all bets are off. This stuff is a wasted conversation, right? But if we're raising our kids to value work in cooperation with the opposite gender, what that will do is instill in a lot of our women the fact or the characteristics that are going to be beneficial long term. So you end up a lot of that stuff, a lot of the things that make a man attractive, who is this guy that they're talking about, right? Who sleeps around? They called him a hoe, right? They're short term value things. They're surface level stuff. So I think the ultimate thing is that we have to teach our daughters to value things that are beneficial to a long term relationship. The biggest one is that guy looking for a long term relationship? Does his actions say that? So let's keep going.
she'll jump off a cliff with you. There's nothing you can do, right? That first love, that first man that every girl fall in love with, right? That it'll never be the same with everybody else. Yeah. There's nothing you can do. She go if she like you and she rocking with you like that, she's going. That's the facts. Y'all keep living in this fairy tale world. Come on, man. You can try your best. You can try your damnness. But if she rocking with him, she rocking with him. And all y'all know what I'm talking about.
Let me ask y'all a question before I answer. How many moves, by and large, did Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
One.
Right? You knew what he was going to do. Most of the time, you knew which shoulder he was going to turn over. He was still going to sky hook the shit out of you. Michael Jordan, you could study his game all you wanted. Mike would tell you, I'm going to do this to you. And you know the cold thing about Mike? He was going to do that shit to you. Nothing you can do. At the end of the day, bro, we can say whatever we want to do. Some things you cannot defend. Ricky just hit the nail on the goddamn head, bro. She's going to do what she wants to do. Now, you can lace her with the game. You can try your best. How many women over the years told me, my brother told me the game, or my daddy taught me the game, and I'm like, but yeah, shit, but look at you, laid up with me. How do we get here, right? So what I'm trying to tell y'all, bro, lace them with the game, but temper your expectations, have realistic.
Sean brings up an interesting point: is that are we really teaching our daughters the game? Because again, if they're being raised to be soldiers in the gender war, that's a different type. That means most likely she's not marriage minded. So, and most of our women sadly are not, because you're gonna sit here and tell me that they are, but then the marriage rates don't say that. So it's interesting because I've heard that before too. My daddy taught me the game, or I know about men. I learned from my older brother or whatever. Okay, but then, you say you want marriage, but then where are the actions that are going to follow that up? Have you developed the skills that are required to be that most men find appealing in a wife? So, we got to keep going though.
Realistic expectations. Try to make sure that you have open lines of communication to where at least your child can communicate with you. They can communicate with your mom and aunt, somebody. You know what I'm saying? But at some point, somebody is going to, shout out to Wu-Tang, sprinkle that fancy talk magic in her ear, and she going to go. Unfortunately. Now, we want to try to mitigate what they can do. That's the best you can hope to do is mitigation. the best you can hope to do. Maybe if you're proactive, you can try to get her married early. You know what I'm saying? That's
I
probably
agree.
the best solution. You know what
I
I'm saying?
agree.
To try to be proactive. But other than that, it's too many nice looking guys out here. It's too many guys who talk slick. You know what I'm saying? It's too much exposure to people. We were relegated to who we could touch, who we saw at school, who was in our neighborhood. Now, bro, you flick your thumb and it's an unlimited amount of people that you're attracted to. You know why? Because Al, also known as the algorithm, knows exactly what the fuck we like. And every time you swipe your thumb, there's another person you like and another person you like. And the better our daughters look, the more people are going to end up in their DMs. So there are more people shooting their shots. So
But again, that goes back to what I said before about the way we raise our kids. Are we raising them to work in cooperation with one another? Meaning that, do we start teaching the benefits of marriage early on? So I don't think we do, particularly when it comes to our boys. It's like, because most men, yeah, they want to get married, but there's a lot of nuance in that, because usually they're not ready until later in life. And to honest opinion, I think it's it's too far down the road, because most times it doesn't happen. They're not looking at marriage seriously until after 30. That's too long. Ripe age. The reason I say that is because by that point, too much has happened. Because at that point, more women have more baggage. There's a high probability that she's going to be bringing in a kid with her too. Truth be told, I'd say that the good age to get married is right around 25. Because again, getting married that soon, you're going to eliminate a big chunk of baby mamas. Because again, they'll be married, right? The other thing it does is it gives you time for you guys to get to know each other, for you to build a good foundation for that marriage before you start running against, before you hit 30 and all of a sudden we got to have a kid. Whereas you trying to get married after 30 and immediately y'all rushing into bringing a kid in, and y'all hadn't had time to solidify the foundation. I'm not saying it can't happen, but the odds are stacked against you that marriage is going to be successful just because of the extra stress that comes with having a child or kids, multiple children. So that's why I say that a good age for marriage is right around 25. Now, this also means that we have to do because I said do a better job of raising our daughters, but we also have to do a better job of raising our sons to be husbands. Because, this whole notion that, we're going to put off marriage, it doesn't end well for guys. Most guys wait too long to get married because we keep talking about how, well, you got to have, you know what, we're getting off topic. Let's just keep going.
I would say, man, try to be proactive. Raise her in a certain way. Try to be proactive and get her married. And hopefully she won't be for the streets after that.
The best you can do is teach her about leverage. Right? That's the best you can do is teach her, leverage what you have in a relationship, right? To get what you need and want out of it. But like, man, your girl with you because she with you, man. Come on, bro. Like,
Yeah, that's one of the things I talked to my 14-year-old. Explain to her leverage. Once you give it away, your leverage is typically gone, and in your value, which you continue to be pure, you have a better option of guys as well. And the other thing is that if you are a high quality, respectable dad, then and you're involved in that way, it's going to be less likely of a chance for her to be a 304 out in these streets because she admires you and she wants somebody that's similar to you. So if you are a hoe as a dad, then just know that your daughter probably gonna follow your footsteps.
Go ahead, Trey.
I think it's not as bad as we might be making it seem right now. I'm familiar with many women who have waited until they were married before they gave anything up. And
wow,
I mean, of course, like the gentleman said, you can't stop it. There's nothing you can do to stop it, but there are certainly things that you can do to mitigate the risk, right? So, for instance, having an open line of communication, like my wife does a great job of talking to my daughter, like she's comfortable coming to her, she's comfortable coming to me. with issues, right? So, and same thing like I do with my son, like we talk about these things. They have to have that open line of communication to where they can trust that you're not going to judge them, trust that they can actually get some value from that conversation. And it's, you can completely not eliminate, but you can definitely reduce the risk because I mean, there's some dudes out here that just got a slick talking. I used to be one of those dudes, and I definitely squeezed into some places I should have never been in. So I understand, I understand exactly what the people's mean, and some of them had good fathers and stuff like that. So, but it's also about like Sean was saying earlier, you got to give them the game. So I translate a lot of things that men will say, what men will do. Behaviors, right? And just to understand that, and
100% of a benefit of the father being in the daughter's life. And again, if you're married, then that means you're there the majority of the time. So she has more opportunity to soak up the what you have to teach her.
you have to tell your daughter, man. I do believe in your daughter, like her dad's supposed to be her first crush, not in any funny way or nothing, but she's supposed to understand this is what an example of a man is like. So you have to look for, so with that, it's you as a father has to be responsible and set the example. You can't be out here in these streets doing whatever. She has to understand this is what it's supposed to be like. Somebody who has moral character, somebody who has a good work ethic, right? Somebody who is that dude. That's what they should be looking for. And you have to let your daughter know what her worth is. She has to understand her value. So if you can get her to understand her value, then you can absolutely, again, mitigate the risk. There's no such thing as elimination, but it's a whole lot that you can do to try to avoid it.
You know what? I agree with that. So what's the takeaway here? Well, the first thing is that this is not an absolute solution. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in that too much. We are ultimately talking about mitigating risk. That's the whole point, right? Because again, it's just like these numbers that we deal with as statistics. Okay, well, nothing is 100%, but there are ways that we can mitigate the risk of it happening. I agree with Ricky. I agree with everybody on the panel. I think, but Ricky's point is that she gonna pick him, and there's nothing you can do about it. That is true. If you have not partaken, but it's not about this is again, it's about mitigating risk. The risk or the probability that she's going to pick a guy who is like that, right? Who is has 304 behavior where he's a womanizer, etc. That possibility of that is not going to go away 100%. But the things that the guys talked about on the panel, especially Trev, the whole idea is to lower the chances of that happening. And again, how are we doing this? Well, first off, we're not raising soldiers in the gender war. Okay, Trev mentioned it that the first guy that your daughter should be interested in is you. You're supposed to, and most likely that's going to be the type of guy that she's interested in for the majority of her life, assuming that you guys maintain a healthy relationship. So you are the prototype in that example there. So if you are, I think Humble Dad said it too, if you are the guy that's out there, you're just sleeping around with a bunch of different women, well, guess what you're about to raise? So it speaks to, we have more demonstrations of the positivity that comes with when you lead with character. Ultimately, that's what it requires you to do. That's why I talk about the dime: self-discipline, integrity, morals, and ethics, right? And lead with those 4 qualities. And number 1, the type of women that you attract, you're going to raise the quality of that. Because this is, women who are promiscuous, who are just out just trying to get what they can. A lot of times, when you lead with the dime, it becomes a turnoff to them because they're not aspiring to have better character. They're not aspiring to self-improve. A lot of those women, they think they're perfect the way they are, and they're going to use that to, justify their lifestyle. So, more at the bottom line, you want to protect your daughter from a womanizer, or whatever you want to call it, then you got to lead with character. And it's not just you don't just start it from from when she's 5 or 10. You're supposed to live your life like that, but I think this is a dope conversation. Like I said, a lot of these YouTube talking points about men's male-oriented content, and y'all know what I'm talking about, RP content, a lot of this stuff started to fall apart when you start bringing in the idea of kids into the mix. And what's crazy to me is most men want kids. Most men want family. So, what does that say about all those RP talking points? Exactly. But guys, great conversation, high level for sure. Go check out the Peeve Network. They have the best thing I could say. One of the best things about this panel in particular is they're not interrupting each other. There's no cutting off, and and people are cordial. So I hadn't seen King talk in, man, it's been a minute. It's been probably about a year or so. So we might have to come back here, and because the conversation, most of the time, I like to highlight what women have to say, because I'm not a woman. So, and most of my channel is guys. I would hope that most of my channel is marriage-minded guys, so you can benefit from having from seeing how women talk and having the conversation actually broken down to understand both sides of the conversation. But we have a growing population of women who are on this channel, so I think that conversations where it's just guys, we do need to start having more of these. But until then, I must goes to the next time. Peace.